Hello, and welcome to the Toolbox training on registering for classes. The goal of this presentation is to outline the various ways a student can register for classes. This information will be helpful for advisors when they're teaching students to register the first time, as well as understanding the process to help students troubleshoot problems. To register for classes, a student will go to WyoWeb and log in under Wyo Records. When a student logs in, it will prompt them to do a password reset utility. It's a smart thing for a student to do, and they can proceed through the utility and enroll. However, there's also the option to skip the enrollment for this login session. If a student chooses to skip, they'll be prompted to enroll in this password reset utility every time they log in. So it's a smart thing to do, but for now, we will skip it. This will bring a student to their welcome page where it will have their name on the top, their W number, as well as their program of study. To register for classes, a student can go two places. Under the to-do list, there's a link for register for classes, and then also the registration button in the middle of the screen. So we'll click on the registration button, and it'll take us to our registration landing page. From here we have 6 options. On the left-hand side we see prepare for registration, plan ahead, and view registration information. Prepare for registration houses a checklist of items that a student has to do every semester before they register for classes. For more information on this screen, see the Toolbox training on Prepare for Registration. The Plan Ahead link takes a student to a screen where they can save classes to their student account. An advisor can also create a schedule and save it to a student's account through this Plan Ahead feature. For more information on the Plan Ahead, see the Plan Ahead item in the toolbox. The View registration information, students can view their past schedules or their ungraded classes, and this is helpful at times for a student when they're seeing which classes they might want to register for. On the right-hand side, we see Register for Classes, Browse Classes, and Browse Course Catalog. The Browse Classes and Browse Course Catalog are search tools only. A student cannot register. However, through these, a student can see what classes are offered before their registration time. For now, we'll click on Register for Classes. From here, we're prompted to select a term open for registration. Here we'll see Spring 2018, but be sure to select the appropriate term for whichever semester or term you're working in. Here you're prompted to enter a PERC number. The PERC is a personal electronic registration code. This code is given to a student by their departmental advisor, assuring that the student has met with an advisor and received advising before registering for classes. A student only needs to enter the PERC in once, and the system will remember that it's been entered. Once the PERC is entered and we click Continue, that takes us to our registration screen. From here, a student can register for classes, and there are 3 ways that a student can register for classes. At the top of this screen, we see the options to find classes, enter CRNs, and plans. To start, we'll use the Find Classes, and we can search for a course. In the subject box, we can type in the subject. Here we'll use the example of psychology. So we start to type in psychology, and then we can click on the subject and enter a course number if you know it. And so we'll enter 1000, and we'll search for Psychology 1000. Once we search, it brings up every section of Psych 1000 that's being offered for that term. Here we see there are 2 sections, and there's a lot of information on this screen. For more details about all the information on this screen, please see the Toolbox training on viewing search results. Quickly, we'll go through this from left to right and read through these columns. The title is General Psychology. The subject is Psychology. And we see that the course number and the section number. And we see that it's 3 credit hours. And then we see a column titled CRN, which stands for Course Reference Number. And then we see the instructor. And then we see the meeting times, and this is pretty important, right, to know so that you can fit it in with your other classes. We also see the building, and we see that it's on the main campus, taught here in Laramie. And then we see in the status column the number of seats remaining. If we hover the cursor over the building, it will give us a little more info, and it's a little bit easier to read about which building, which room, and the start and end dates for the course. We can go over and click on the title of the course, and it gives us a pop-up window with lots of great information. We always want students to check 3 things here. We want them to click on the course description, and they can read the course description of the class. We want them to click on restrictions to make sure there are no restrictions for enrollment in the class. Here we see there are no restrictions for Psych 1000. And we also want, the third thing that we want them to look at are the prerequisites. Here we see there are no prerequisites for Psych 1000. So we've seen that there are no restrictions and no prerequisites. We can close this window, click Add, and it populates down in a summary on the lower right and a weekly schedule on the lower left. The weekly schedule will default up to midnight at times, so a student will need to scroll back down to find their schedule. Now, the student's not registered for this class yet because we see in the summary that the status is pending. An important step in this process is to click the Submit button in the lower right. Once clicked, the system loads and registers the class. We see that by the notification in the upper right saying Save Successful, as well as in the summary, the status of the course is now registered. If the student then wants to drop this course, they can use the Action drop-down menu in the summary, select Drop via Web, and click Submit. And it's as easy as that. The class has been dropped from the student's schedule. Now we'll look at one more example using the Find Classes and the search criteria. We're going to look up a general biology course, which, if we look, it lives in a department called Life Science. So we click on Life Science, and the course number for general biology is 1010. Once we hit search, it brings up all the sections of general biology. Now here's a good example of a linked class, is what we call it, and it's a little more complicated than our previous example of psychology. If we read through, we see all the same columns, but in the status column, we see linked, and there's a little image of a chain there. And what that means is that there's multiple parts to the class. And we have to make sure that we register for all parts of the class, otherwise we'll receive a registration error in adding the class. Another unique thing about general biology, and it happens in quite a few of our larger math science classes on campus, you'll notice in the meeting times for this course, it meets on Tuesdays. All sections meet on Tuesday from 5:10 to 6:50 p.m. This is a time that is saved for exams. And so this is not a time that a student will have to go weekly, but they'll have to go 3 times throughout the course of the semester. And this is because students in general biology take a common exam. So all students in any section of general biology will take the exam at the same time on Tuesdays from 5:10 to 6:50 p.m. But if we look at the fact that it's a linked class, we see that there's a lecture section. The first 3 lines here are all lecture sections, and we can see that with the word lecture beneath the title in the first column. And then all other sections are laboratories. And so a student needs to add both a lecture section and a laboratory. Those are the 2 links to the class. And so we can add this class in one of 2 ways. We can either click the Add button on one line of the lecture, and it adds down in our summary. And then we can scroll down and find a lab time that works in our schedule. So here I'll choose this Monday, 2:10 to 5, and I click Add, and that adds down in the schedule also. And you'll notice that I added them both to the summary before submitting, so that they're both pending in the summary. And this is the most important part to adding a linked class. We need to make sure both parts to the course, or all parts of the linked course, are in the summary pending before we hit submit. Now I'm going to remove these and illustrate one additional way. And so if I look up here, I see View Linked right next to the Add button. And if I click on View Linked, it shows all the lab times and automatically links them with the lecture that I chose. And so I can click Add All, and you'll see both parts to the course go to the summary immediately. And so that's just another way. But the bottom line is that we need to make sure both parts to the course are listed in the summary as pending and registered via web in the action before we hit submit. So if I hit submit, the course adds successfully. Now I'll go ahead and drop the class, and it's as easy as that. One illustration just to show you, if I try to add one part of the link without the other, I'll get a registration add error. Here I have in my summary only the lecture, and it's pending, and I click submit. I get a registration add error, errors preventing registration, and it says up in the corner up here in the notification, linked courses required, and it even tells me that I need the lab, because we do have some classes on campus that have both a discussion and a lab, or just a discussion. So now I'll remove this, and that's how we can add linked classes to our schedule. Now we can use the Enter CRNs. Now, if a student has the CRNs, they can use those to register using the Enter CRNs option at the top. When we click on that, we see the Enter Course Reference Numbers to Register screen. There's a text box where a student can enter a CRN. So if we enter a CRN for a course, and we could even add another, and we could use as many text boxes as we need to register for all of our classes. Here we've entered the CRN number for English composition, and it shows up here, and we can add this course to the summary and click submit. And we see a notification that this class is closed and that there's 0 waitlisted, and so this class is full, and so it did not load successfully and the student is not registered in this course. However, if we go and enter another course reference number for a different English class, we can add that one to the summary. And we see it's at a different time, it's a different section, and we click submit. And this one saves successfully. So this one was not full, and this one allowed us to register for the course. Again, if the student wants to drop the course, they can select drop via web, click submit, and they unregister for the course. The third way to sign up for classes is using the plans option at the top of the screen. This is where a student can see their plans that they've made or the plans that an advisor has made for them. In the plan feature, there are options to register for a single course on your plan or to add all of the courses on your plan. So if we click add all, every course on this plan populates down into the summary. And then if we click submit, the system will try to register every course in the plan. For this situation, we had Psych 1000 on our plan twice, and so the system doesn't let you register for multiple sections of the same course. So we can see that the system registered us for one section of psychology, but not the other. And so we registered 2 out of the 3 courses from our plan. The plan ahead feature is fantastic. However, when a plan is made, seats are available, and then when the plan is registered for, sometimes seats are full. Now, to fill spots in our schedule, we can go back up to Find Classes, and we can search for more classes. Using the buttons in the middle of the screen, we can resize our panels and lower them so that we have a better view of our search criteria. We can click Clear to eliminate our previous search, and we can click on the Advanced Search to get more filters. As an example, we're going to search for a class that's taught through the College of Business and fulfills the USP attribute for human culture. So in the college search box, we will highlight College of Business, and in the attribute box, we will scroll down to USP 15H human culture. Now that we have both of those and we click search, the system will go and find all classes taught in the College of Business that fulfill the USP-H. Here we see 7 sections, 3 sections of macroeconomics, 3 sections of microeconomics, and a section of sports economics. All of these courses are taught through the College of Business, and all of these courses fulfill the USP-H. Now if we resize our panels so that we can see the student's schedule. We can compare that with the course availability. And so if we look up at the macroeconomics course, Econ 1010, Section 2 with Amber Brown, that meets Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 3:10 to 4, that class fits in the student's schedule. So the student would click Add and then Submit. And the course loads to their schedule. A student can use these tools to build their schedule to a full-time course load. Once a student's got a schedule complete, it's important to go up and click on the schedules and options at the top of the screen. This provides them another view through which to see their schedule, but it also provides 3 important links in the upper right. We see the first one is UW University Store. If a student clicks on this link, it takes them to the UW University Store and shows them the books that they would need for all of the courses that they're registered in. The next icon is an email icon. A student can email their schedule to themselves or to anyone else that they want to email it to. And the third option up there is a printer. This is an important step, and I would encourage all advisors to have their students print their schedule before they leave their appointment. The print format is very convenient in that it shows where the students' classes are, building and room number, as well as days of the week and times, all on one sheet. For a student to see where their classes are without printing, they can click on the title of their course from any of these screens. From the Schedules and Options screen, we can click on the title, and it gives us a pop-up window. From this pop-up window, the link for instructor and meeting times tells us the building, the room, and the times, as well as the instructor. We hope that this video has helped you understand the registration process and helps you teach students how to register for classes. Thanks for watching.